So lately, like many others, I've been watching a show that dominated late 2020 and continues to dominate this year called Jujutsu Kaisen, and I've been really enjoying it. But as I was watching it, there seemed to be some instances that made me realize that this is no ordinary shonen. Although the show may have tropes frequently seen in shonen anime, like having an overpowered sensei with white hair and fabrics covering their eyes, a demon sealed inside the main character, a quiet dark-haired rival character, and a quick-tempered and physically strong female character, there is something about how the story presents its stakes and difficulties with horror that made me realize that this is no ordinary shonen. Furthermore, I noticed that a substantial amount of new anime releasing this year contain horror elements in the story as well. With the final season of Attack on Titan, Demon Slayer Season 2, Made in Abyss Season 2, The Promised Neverland Season 2, and Re:Zero Season 2, it seems that quite a few of the most anticipated anime of this year are all anime that contain heavy horror elements. Then I asked this question, how do we get here? Now I know what most of you are all thinking, horror in anime isn't new. There have been shows such as Berserk and Evangelion. I completely understand that statement, but at the same time, when those series were released, they were very niche if not unheard of. Heck, I didn't even know about those series until about a decade after they aired because they were not shown on TV in Canada. The question that I'm trying to find the answer to is, how did horror in anime become so popular to the point where most of today's biggest shows have horror? How do we go from the happy-go-lucky Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, Naruto, and One Piece like shows dominating the shonen brand to having shows like Dorohedoro and Jujutsu Kaisen becoming the new status quo? Heck, even the campy My Hero Academia had horror elements in the latest overhaul arc. So, by just looking at what trended from the early 2000s to now in 2020, you can see a drastic shift of shonen anime transitioning from campiness to encompassing more drama and horror. So this transition is what I aim to discuss in this video. And while I may not have all the answers to exactly what made this transition transpire, I'll try my best to uncover this inquiry. The first time that an anime with horror was ever presented to me was with Full Metal Alchemist 2003. And the scene that really hit home for me that this show was different was the infamous Nina scene when Edward finds out that she was transmuted into a talking chimera by her father, Sho Tucker. As a young child, this scene disturbed me and is still ingrained in my brain to this day. But the reason as to why this scene is so monumental to FMA as a whole is that it set the tone for the rest of the series. It made me erase all my preconceived notions of shonen that everything will be alright, and that everyone will make it. Instead, FMA 2003 taught me how erroneous ideologies such as the power of friendship and self-belief was. Later on, when Edward found Nina killed by Scar, it was a rude awakening that all those preconceived shonen notions do not suffice in this world or in the real world. That bad things happen to good people, and no matter how hard you try, you can still fail miserably. And that's why I believe FMA and FMA Brotherhood is among one of the most beloved and influential anime to this day. Besides it being a masterfully told story with intricate themes and great characters, this was one of the first anime that presented believable stakes with horrific consequences. Stakes that seemed so real that you honestly did not know how the protagonist would overcome their obstacles. And the reason as to why we love Edward and Alphonse so much is because they overcame real struggle through real grit and not through the magic of Dragon Balls, Talk no Jutsu, or by punching really hard. In addition to FMA 2003, Death Note would be another popular anime from Shonen Jump that started to air around the same time, which shared similar stakes. The chess games between Light and L were entertaining to watch, but what gripped people to their seat was that they each had so much to lose. This wasn't a fight for who can be the strongest or Hokage. These were a series of fights with lives on the line, family on the line, and the balance of society on the line. Also, although these are sophisticated stories and deserve praise in their own right, it is also essential to not ignore the giant anime boom in the early 2000s. With the help of TV blogs such as Toonami on Cartoon Network in the United States and by Onyx on TV in Canada, a new generation of anime fans, probably born in the late 90s to early 2000s, were exposed to these anime being their first anime, including myself. Hence, it's suffice to say that with the timing of these shows, they set sort of a standard for how narratives should be told in anime. Then about 10 years later, there'd be a show that would take the world by storm, Attack on Titan. In my entire life, I've never seen a show take over in its first season as much as Attack on Titan. From its first episode, the hype train for this new shonen took off. Its epic orchestral opening was played everywhere, and Attack on Titan cosplay infiltrated many conventions throughout the world. The Attack on Titan hype was inescapable. But let's rewind for a bit. Let's focus on the first episode of Attack on Titan and what made this easily one of the best pilot episodes of anime history. Like most shonen, we're introduced to our main cast of 3, which usually includes 2 boys and 1 girl. Following this typical introduction, the main cast of children share their dreams and aspirations with each other. Moreover, with the beautiful art and music direction added, we as the audience feel the fragility and innocence that these children possess. Then, in an instant, all of that innocence and dreams are shattered once reality hits. The colossal Titan makes his appearance. With this one instance, it sets in that in actuality, no one is safe, and the stability and calmness once felt was just an illusion. Soon after the appearance of the horrific Titans, the main character Eren sees his once peaceful town turned into a living hell. And he runs back to his home in hopes that everything will be just fine, repeating to himself affirmations that everything will be okay, something we are all accustomed to as shonen fans. However, Eren sees his mother in the hands of a Titan, and when Hans arrives and shouts he will save the day, he is soon met with the reality that his optimism is worthless, and the only option is to flee. Then pathetically, Hans runs away, carrying Eren and Mikasa. Then the camera pans to Eren crying as he sees his mother devoured by a Titan, and the credits roll, fade to black. Now this is how I set a tone for a show, and is also why Attack on Titan blew up as fast as it did. This, alongside of Eren's death a few episodes later, is something that was never seen in the mainstream. This feeling of complete hopelessness and dread was so alluring because it felt that these characters had real stakes and encountered real, insurmountable odds. And when our protagonist did obtain victory, the hell that they went through to achieve it made victory that much more sweeter. Then a year later in 2014, Tokyo Ghoul and Parasyte would be 2 anime that would add to this trend of horror. It is not by pure accident that these shows also grew so popular. It's because just like Edward, Alphonse, and Eren Yeager, the main character's misfortunes and struggle is what we gravitate to. Ken Kaneki and Izumi were not gifted with martial art talent or the power of self-belief. These were genuinely good people who were dealt horrific fates. Through their misfortunes they grieve and come to terms with their unfortune. However, it's their decision to rise up, accept the card they were dealt, and strive to keep on living that makes these characters feel like true heroes. That is true inspiration. That is true bravery. True bravery is not measured when you are given everything and succeed. True bravery is measured when you have been punched and thrown down in the dirt, but you choose to come to grips with your reality and decide to live your life. So, in conclusion, the reason as to why I believe horror is trending so much in anime these days is because of the stakes. Whether it be Overhaul's grotesque powers in My Hero, the sinister sisters in the Promised Neverland, or the uninhabitable ecosystems in Made in Abyss. Horror in stories elevate the stakes and sense of danger like no other. The suspense you feel is more intense. The fear that the characters feel are more sincere. And the odds truly feel insurmountable. It's like what I said before. After you see a character go through hell and non-stop dread, when you finally see them victorious, it makes that victory all the more special. And that's why I believe horror in anime is so popular these days. It's because it can inspire us to do the same in real life. Especially these days, when things are so chaotic and stressful. It is shows like these that remind us that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. No matter how bleak things seem, or how dim the light is, the point is that there is still a light. And as long as that light exists, then there is still a reason to get up, fight, and keep striving.